Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the SourceSeeker Hour. You're listening to a new voice. This is Bishop George Sanders. I'm filling in for my good friend, Baruti Carl Alexander. We have a wonderful show for you on tonight. We have some great healthcare professional experts that are in the house. I'm going to introduce you to them in a second. Last time they were here, they talked to you about fighting depression. We're going to take it a little bit further on tonight. What we're going to do first is we're going to give a few introductions. I'm going to start with myself for those of you that don't know me. Once again, my name is Bishop George Sanders. I am a Metropolitan Bishop here in the city of Houston. In my secular life, I also serve as a certified anger resolution therapist and a former school administrator. I'm joined on tonight by some wonderful guests. I have Kenesha Graves Drayton, LPC. I have Dr. Vion McReynolds, who loves to go by Dr. V. And I also have Dr. Napoleon Higgins. So we're going to do ladies first, and we're going to hear from Miss Kenesha. She's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Yes, hello y'all. My name is Kenesha Graves Drayton, and I'm the owner of Oasis of Life Counseling. I am an LPC and a certified anger resolution therapist here in the Houston area.
All right.
It's a pleasure to be here with y'all this evening.
Wonderful, wonderful. Also, we got Dr. Vion McReynolds. What can you tell us about yourself, sir?
My name is Vion McReynolds. I have a project called Tour de Hood. We operate at Emancipation and Wheeler or Richmond. And we also have a bike shop. We also operate Third Ward tours. Basically, what we try to do is get people out and get them healthy out in the environment.
Great. I love it. And to my right, I have the one and only Dr. Napoleon Higgins. Dr. Higgins, tell us about yourself, sir.
Hello, my name is Dr. Napoleon Higgins. I am a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist in the Houston area, private practice. Also co-author of the book Mind Matters, a resource guide to psychiatry for Black communities.
Wow.
Happy to be here.
Oh my. I am surrounded by some mega guests, and it's just an honor to be with all of you on today. I know we've been talking about fighting depression, but I have a question that I want to ask, and I guess we'll do ladies first again, and we'll just kind of do a round table before we go into deep discussion. But the question that I want to ask, and of course we're on Afro Vibes, but I want to ask particularly, is there a mental crisis, in your opinion, in the Afro community?
Yes, it is. It's just not talked about as much.
Okay.
Yes, so there is one big time, especially with depression. The suicide rates are high due to it because no one acknowledges their pain.
Oh my. And I know we're going to go deep on that because there's a lot to be said about that. Dr. V, how do you feel about that?
Oh, no doubt. There's definite mental health issues in the African American community, Black community. And oftentimes I think it stems from being associated. There's what they call contagious depression. When you're in an environment and other people are depressed, you become depressed. So when the people in control of the system are depressed, it filters out into the larger society. Yes.
Wow. And I'm going to go to the MD and see what is your take on this, Dr. Higgins?
Yes, I mean, the thing is that there's a serious issue regarding depression and not acknowledging depression or acknowledging mental health issues. We almost seem to take it as a badge of honor to not admit that there could be something wrong. And as you know, in the church, you know, we're in this state where we say certain phrases and words.
Right.
Say, I'm too blessed to be depressed and things of that sort. How you doing? I'm
so
doing
true.
fine. Jesus loves me, and Jesus does love you, and you can be blessed and still be depressed. So the thing is that we need to make sure that we talk about our mental health, have shows like this, have persons such as yourself as mental health professionals out there talking to our community, and really, the best way to get information to black people is through the Black church.
Wow.
So often we are very much spiritual people.
Yes.
Be it whatever faith we practice. And the fact is that what many of us don't know is that black people are the most religious group in America.
True.
So despite cultural things that you see with different, dress and head wraps and scarves, just because a person has a scarf over their head does not mean that they practice a religion at all.
Definitely.
That does not mean anything at all. But us as a people, be it Christianity, be it Islam, be it Judaism, or whatever, Buddhism, or whatever it might be, for some reason we're a spiritual people, and that's a great way that we get our word out to other individuals, is through our collective spiritual groups.
Wow. Well, I'm going to just throw this out there, and it's free for all. Is mental illness, and I know we're putting emphasis on depression, is it a taboo in the Afro community?
Well, no one wants to be mentally ill and
Right.
mentally ill. So if it's not something that's desirable, then generally you say, no, I don't have that.
Right.
We pretend like we're not poor.
Right.
We pretend like we're beautiful. We try to do different things to change ourselves to ignore the reality. So yes, I would say
Right.
definitely it's something that we would shun away from and say, no, that's not me.
And the reason I'm presenting this to the group, because I'm growing up, I was raised as a 70s kid, and the worst thing that you could say was that you needed a counselor, or you needed therapy, or you needed a therapist, because that's something that we didn't do. You don't go to counseling, you go to church. You let the pastor pray for you. Has that changed over the years? Has that mindset changed?
I would say I think there's been an awakening.
An
within the
awakening.
Black community, and I had mentioned this a bit in the last time we met, was the issue of being taboo and not talking about it, and I believe a lot of that comes from slavery. All right, so essentially, the things that would happen to us, if we didn't talk about those things, and essentially, so now we come to today's point, and we still don't talk about it. But also, there's a thought that mental health treating your mental health is not a black thing.
Right.
So I think sometimes when we look at it that way, we feel as if we received mental health care, that we've given something up, that we've lost something, that you've admitted to the pain of sorts. And the fact is that, no, it's not admitting to the pain, it's admitting that I need to do something at this point. And I think that as a community, we're starting to wake up and notice that, no, there is mental health care. Mental health care is for black people. It's for all people. And if you've got a problem, it's time to show up and talk to somebody about it. And I think that mindset has definitely changed.
Right. Coming out of the closet.
Coming out of the closet.
Okay.
Coming out of the closet.
Yes, I agree, because I have seen clients who, are of African American descent. And, a lot of us do not realize that with Medicaid insurance, many of us get it, different plans, but they don't realize how they can get their children and teenagers help, for no cost at all, to just get some help, have somebody to talk to. I mean, there are websites they can go on to for different plans to find a therapist who looks just like them.
Right.
And see, that's what they're afraid of. A lot of them don't think that a therapist who doesn't look like them, or those who do look like them, will be able to help or understand. Because, for instance, like, if I have a child client who comes in to see me now, they may be adopted or a foster child. And so they've been through so much.
Right.
And then they figure, well, because, you may look like me,
Right.
but look at what you do for a living. Life must not have been as hard for you.
Right.
But what they don't realize is that because I've been through so much, that's what makes me an expert in what I do.
You've been through something.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to just talk about, mention that the doctors mentioned the slavery, and that condition and the type of living situation that we've had to to endure.
Right.
Actually, we're in post-traumatic stress.
Oh.
You know, so that's, and as you talked about the coming out, and as more people like the Me Too movement, that, you know, being raped by your whomever, your
Right.
producer or
Yeah.
your TV host or
Right,
whoever,
right, right.
that would be something that you didn't want to tell until others started mentioning it. And I like this show will make people think, well, you know, I'm hearing this about depression and I'm not feeling so well. You know, maybe I need to go get some help.
Exactly.
Or maybe I need to recognize that I may not be as blessed as I think I am. You know, I can need to go ahead and I am stressed, even though I am blessed. You know? So,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm loving what I'm hearing. But now I'm going to flip the script a little bit because I really want to hear your take on this. There are a lot of things that's going on in the world today. There's a lot of things going on in the political arena and the political stage. And the question that I want to ask you is today's political stage and what's going on in the world with all the crisis, you know about crisis going on here in the United States, is it affecting the mental health of Americans and others? I know we can talk about Americans because we here, but is what's going on the world stage, is it affecting the mental health?
There's no doubt. I mean, we can see in the schools
Mm-hmm.
where children are very concerned about world issues.
Yes.
Particularly here recently, the assassination of the, I think, Iraqi.
Yeah, the general, the Iraqi general.
And then we see these,
Yeah.
In Iraq.
we see these millions or hundreds of thousands of people
Wow.
out protesting and saying death to the Americans, you know, death to the Jews. And so if I was, I just want to say this, some of the black people are saying that no, it wasn't us that did that we had no part. They want to separate themselves.
Right.
But and even that thought that I need to separate myself says that I'm very concerned and I don't want to get put in that pot with everyone else, and it causes you stress.
Wow.
Because I don't want them to come over here bombing me. I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Now I
Well,
got to worry about it.
and also when you look at it, it didn't even go through the representative of you.
Wow.
And, you know, when you
Wow.
talk about it,
Yeah.
wasn't taken through Congress and things of that sort. So one man gets decided to start a war, you know, or to promote a war.
Wow.
That's, you know, realize we've been at war. All right.
Forever.
Just saying.
Yeah.
We've been at war since I left high school, active war, not to mention the things that we don't know of.
Exactly.
But the thing is that, are we now going to escalate the war? As you mentioned that, just today, my daughter gives me a phone call after school because her and a classmate had a question about, is it true that they believe that we're going to go to war because our president might be impeached and he's trying to distract the country because it's almost impossible to impeach a president during an active military campaign.
Right. Right.
And so the question is, will my group who is finishing from high school the question becomes, will we be all drafted into war?
Wow.
To go fight a war of which we're saying, well, fuck. What we fighting this war about? Is it because one person is trying to protect himself and get his friends paid before he's out of office?
Right.
Or are we actually fighting for something? Are we liberating a people of some sort?
Exactly.
And like they've always had this conflict. Is this escalation going to stop a conflict or is it going to increase a conflict? And that I'm looking at a generation who's asking questions that I don't think some other generations asked before.
Right.
Because it's a different mindset. So anytime you're stressed about, are we going to be called off to war? Are we going to go away to die? Because it's my generation. These people over here are going to make decisions.
Right.
But it's us who have to go die for those decisions.
Exactly.
And I think that younger and younger ages are starting to consider, as you've seen, as they talked about on Black Twitter, how this ain't our war. We didn't bomb anybody. I mean, no, he bombed somebody. But the thing is that you got to realize those who make those decisions, most of their kids are not going over there to fight. It's the poor, it's the ethnically diverse, those kids who are looking for a way to looking for a way to go to college.
Right.
And then so that increases the stress because this fear that there's going to be a draft, or I have a loved one in the military and they've just been deployed.
Right.
And then the question is, what for? Because we really don't know the whole story of what the plan is. That increases the stress, ratchets up the stress in the entire country when we see these type of things going on. It's in the world. Because you're about to go into somebody else's house. As a kid, we used to get into a fight, but if somebody ran into their house, you already knew. You don't run to somebody else's house for the
you
fight.
don't.
Yeah, no
No.
matter how much you win it, you don't want to run up in the house because they got all kind of things in the house.
Yeah.
They may have a brother, they know where the knives are, they know where the guns are.
Exactly.
They're more familiar. They can hide somewhere and come out and jump on you.
That flips the script.
That flips the script. So the thing is that this is not a minor thing. This is stressing people out on top of the stress that already occurs in life.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just want to add
Talk to me.
that
Yeah, please.
the type of conditions that we're living under now are just, they're unheard of in past history. You have, I think of Greta Thunberg saying that, it's crazy that people will not say that they're changing the climate, that human beings are changing the climate. And with climate change, if you look at what's going on in Australia, and then the same fires that are going on in California,
Right.
floods that are going on in the Midwest, here in Houston,
It's
around
right
the whole thing, and climate issues around the world affecting food prices, affecting social mores, affecting just the way in which we interact as human beings. That's depressing.
Wow.
If I don't, have a different attitude about it, to say, okay, I'm going to accept this. I'm going to step out and try to make some changes for future generations. So if you feel helpless against that you don't feel that there's something that you can do, then you'll be in the closet saying, no, I'm all right, I'm blessed. But, your system will show something different, and your behavior will show something different. You'll be hollering at your kids,
Right.
beating your wife, maybe overeating or undereating or other destructive behaviors.
Oh.
You might just be road rage on the way home because that pressure is on you.
And that's rampant. Oh my. Once again, this is the SourceSeeker Hour. We will be back in a second. We're going to take our discussion to another level. Don't go away. We'll be back right back. Thank you. Welcome back. This is the Bishop George Sanders. This is the SourceSeeker Hour. And I am here with my guest, Kenesha Graves Drayton, LPC, Dr. Vion McReynolds, and Dr. Napoleon Higgins. And we have been having an exciting conversation. We're still talking about depression, but we're looking at a different paradigm. And our experts are helping us to understand the causal factors, and they're also leading us to solution. We've been talking about how the world stage has played an effect on the mental health of so many Americans and people around the world. We realize that this is an international audience, an international stage, and we are addressing it from an international point of view. Dr. V really hit us with some big things along with Dr. Higgins, and now I'm looking at Lady Kenesha, if she doesn't mind me calling her that, the Oasis of Life Counseling. And I want to ask you, what is your take on this? Because when Dr. V started talking, something popped in my head. I was lucky enough that I was able, when they had, I believe it was Desert Shield, when Desert Shield came out, I had just got old enough where I aged out of being drafted. So when they did Desert Shield, which transition into Desert Storm, I was like, whew, I'm glad I missed that. Is there, to your knowledge, or what do you feel would be the best plan of solution for that young soldier that Dr. Higgins was talking about, that, hey, I only enlisted so I could get the GI Bill so I could finish college or go to grad school. Now we're looking at possible war. They're shipping me off. They're stationing me in the Middle East. What is the mental state of that person, and what should be done for that person? I can only imagine the stress. So I want to see from your point of view, where do we go in a situation like that? I'm that new GI that's headed that way. What happens? What should happen?
Well, I'm not very knowledgeable as you guys are about war and the army and so forth, but
Right.
to my understanding, from my government classes when I was in high school, they stopped drafting
Right.
people into the war, to my understanding. But however, I believe they should continue living their life and
Mm-hmm.
just cope with the here and now, one thing at a time, and not worry so much about what's going to happen in the future. You know, the evil forebodings. You know, what they should focus on is, you know, they have a job. If they have one, finish your college education,
Okay.
and do not allow what's going on in the world to get into you. Because once you allow it to get into you, that's when it becomes a part of your life.
Now, I'm gonna push you. I'm gonna push you, Lady Kanisha.
Okay.
I heard Dr. V say a term. He said post-traumatic syndrome. Now, I'm a novice. Okay, we're not drafted, but we still got that young man that signed his name on the dotted line that said that the United States government is going to pay for my college tuition, and now they're shipping me off to Kuwait, to Iraq, to Iran. Is there a pre-traumatic syndrome? I don't know if that makes sense or not. What is the mental state? What should be done for that person? I know I'm pushing the envelope, but somebody, you know.
Well, they may end up panicking, you know, because they're in a position to where they have control over his life once he signed on to the services, you know.
Right.
So that's something that, you know, they have to be taught to think about, because just in case, if, you know, the country breaks out into a war with another country, they have to be mentally prepared for these things. You know?
Right.
Not just sign on just because you're going to get a free
Right.
education
Exactly.
from the government.
I see Dr. V over there burning up.
Yeah, one of the things that happens, you know, I don't have military experience, but you know, under crisis, what you have to do oftentimes is numb yourself, and you become so numb that you become insensitive even to your own self.
Wow.
That you become a robot, that you tell me to do and I do. And so what happens, you lose yourself.
Jesus.
Because you are now with a group. And that's what happens with the military. The whole idea is to take the self away and you become a soldier and you do as you're told. And then once you get out, then there's nobody to protect me or to guide me along. Now I'm on my own. And the things that I learned in the military are not necessarily apropos to, you know, society as a whole. So you have people come back that whole shell shock, or, you know, I hear a loud bang.
Wow.
And I'm still there. My mind is still, even though I'm not doing that job anymore, but my mindset and I had become so numb that I still haven't come back to that person that I was prior to going and serving in the military. So in order to change that, then you have to come back and unlearn that behavior that you know were indoctrinated in within the military, where you have to become a more caring person. Because to kill people, you have to disassociate. You call them gooks, you call them I don't know, sand fleas or whatever, camel jockeys, so they become not a person. So you're not killing, and then you come back around and see these same type of people as your next door neighbor.
Wow.
So, you know,
How
you
hard
have
is
to
that?
unlearn that. That's why we still have, you know, people that come back in our police state. I'm sorry, not our police state. In our police force, we find that these military people come back. They have a lot of that anger, and we see a lot of that associated with police brutality. Because here's somebody that didn't do as I told him, to do immediately, and I take out my aggression upon them. So they, it's very difficult for them to unlearn that dominating behavior. But that's what has to be. That's what has to happen is an unlearning process.
Wow, I know that we don't have enough time to talk about this. I need to get Dr. Higgins' take on this, and then the next question, if Dr. Higgins can play with that too, because Dr. V, you brought up a big point, and Lady Kanisha did, and that is that okay? Once a lot of these people that came out of these post-traumatic situations are now police officers. They're now in law enforcement, and now we have a whole nother facet of mental stress, civilians versus you slip, but that was the word in my mind, the police state, because even now a lot of times it feels like we're in a police state because those that have been called to protect us sometimes make us feel like they're the predator and we're the prey. So Dr. Higgins, I'm gonna go ahead and let you have your say and help us on tonight with these issues that are before us.
Okay, now one brought the fire, one brought the gasoline. What you want me to do with that?
We want it on tonight. We want it.
You're gonna be the air.
Let's take it there.
What I'm supposed to do now? Well, what I would say is that I've never been in the military, so I would not want to speak for the military experience.
Right.
But I have taken TRICARE for over 20 years.
Okay.
All right, so I see a whole lot of folk who've been in the military, not to mention even my father served in the military as well.
Right.
But essentially, in order to train a soldier, you have to break down an individual.
Wow.
All right, so essentially you've got to get the self out of them and put you in. It's like they call it G.I. Joe, government issued Joe.
Wow.
All right, so you break the person down, you make them a soldier, and then at that point they go off to war, realizing a lot of people may not see much action at all in the military.
Okay.
All right, but then you have those who do, realizing if you were in around Desert Shield, Desert Storm, or the other wars that we've been in, then you can come back very much different than when you left out.
Wow.
And now some people, well, because I know how to use a gun, then maybe I should be a policeman.
Right.
Being a soldier and a policeman are two different things. All right, so a police person, I had this happen recently in the office where a young man was not thinking well. He was out of his head because if he had been using drugs.
Right.
His dad was a soldier.
Okay.
So his son has had now a threat in the home, and now his dad is now mixed with anxiety and stress because he's not taught to police a situation. He's taught as a soldier, you see a threat, you put the threat down.
Wow.
So realizing that a policeman and a soldier are two different things. So if you've been hardwired and broken down to become a soldier, it's not necessarily a good idea for you to become a policeman. Now, you could be a civil servant and help and serve people, but giving you a gun, it's a different mind state at this point of when you're actually when you're dealing with policing an individual or a community versus being a soldier.
Do you think that may be the problem? Because I'm not an expert in that either, but I do know for a fact that one of the first areas that military go when they come from here, I know many that went directly funneled into law enforcement.
Well, the problem is that the military is falling into law enforcement. So a lot of when you're seeing policemen, they see a threat. They're being trained more now to put down a threat.
Military style.
Military style.
Okay.
It used to be you see a threat, you talk to the people, you calm everything down, realizing that the policeman is supposed to be somebody from the community, of the community, who's called to help monitor the behavior and calm things down in the community. But now we've kind of switched the mindset where the policeman is somebody who puts down threats.
Yes.
All right. Now, of course, if there's a threat, you need a policeman to be able to do what they need to do. But the thing is to get the threat to calm down. And so I would say for a lot of people who've been in the military, being a policeman may not be the next best step for you.
Yeah,
now, there are a lot of things you can do as a civil servant.
Yes, I remember you saying that, how they don't come back being the same. And see, that's what I was also referring to, before you enlist yourself into the Army. Now,
Right.
I had a loved one who was considering joining the Army, and I am fully aware of his personality. He's not a weak person, but to just get out there, if he were to go to war, it's just really not in him to really, he's not capable of doing that kind of harm to someone, because he's more the type who he'll defend himself if need be.
Yes.
But as far as doing combat, it's just not in his personality. And see, some people have to be careful with that once they think or consider joining the military, or any armed forces, because that's something to think about.
Wow.
What I would say is they're going to break all that.
You're right.
And they're going to train you to kill.
And that's
they're going to break the individual, and
training.
you
must kill.
And you must kill, because
Or
the fact is
you must be ready to kill.
because the other person is ready
That's
to
what it's
kill you.
about. Yeah.
It's
That's true.
I'm like, listen, if I said, sadly, I would not want my child to go off to war. But my thought is that don't you dare not squeeze that trigger, knowing that the other person is going to squeeze it back at you.
Exactly.
And if I'm with you in a group and you're not willing to shoot when it's time to shoot, no, we all picking targets because they all picking targets over here. So essentially, they're going to train you to do those things. And the question is, can you untrain what you already know? And the thing is that once you've been put in order to untrain, essentially you got to learn something else again new.
Yes.
Because you can't make your past experiences go away. And when it comes to going off to war and you're about to go, the thought is that if they got a war going on, people are shooting. I'm back. You've got to prepare your home and your family and have that as a mindset that you may not be coming back in. So try to get your house in order before you go back and before you go, and hopefully you will come back. Realize most soldiers will make it back home.
Right.
The question is, will all of you physically come back?
What shape they're going to be in mentally when they
in the
return.
mental state that you will be coming back to when you do. Now, the fact is that I've seen the military also do wonders for many individuals. Teach them self-discipline and things of that sort that they wouldn't have gotten anywhere else other than the military.
Right.
When you see somebody with military training, going off to the military, even if you barely finish high school, is like at least getting a 2-year degree. Because they're going to impact you with knowledge and discipline and things of that sort. So it does benefit a whole lot of folk who go off that would not have gotten that benefit if they stayed out of the military.
Right.
Yeah, the major problem is that you're in the military, and when you get out, you don't get out. It's like a lot of Marines. Once a Marine, you're a Marine for life. You're always a Marine. And so you have to unlearn again. It's unlearning that behavior, and that's the problem. Is when we have those police, they still have the military mentality. They don't have a civilian mentality.
Right.
The same goes for people who do a lot of time in prison. When they come out, they still have a prison mentality. The same sort of regimes. They want to see that same sort of habit that they were in prison. They want to try to carry that over. So they have to unlearn, prison. Prison is a lot easier to unlearn than the military, because the military is so traumatic. Not that the prison isn't traumatic, but it's a different sort of indoctrination in prison than it is in the military.
Wow. Now check this out. I'm going to flip the script again. We're on one side of the desk, but now I'm fixing to flip over to the other side of the desk. And that is that we're talking about the police state, the military state mentality. There's another level of stress that I want to address on tonight. What about the young Afro youth, I'm going to use that terminology, that has to deal with all these factors that's against what is mental state? And I mean, this is an international thing. I have friends that are in Belize right now, and they're crying out. They're even on Facebook because the police are shooting the young youth over there in Belize, and sometimes there isn't even a legitimate reason that you can look at. This is happening, on the African continent. It's happening all over the Caribbean, and of course we know that it's happening in inner city United States. I want to get all your takes on what we can do for the young youth. Number one, what is their mental state? What are the causal factors? and what should we do next? Because I do feel that it's a crisis. I don't know if you feel it is, but you're going to let me know that. I don't know who wants to get started with that discussion.
Let me just start.
Okay.
That the type of life that we're leading, the way our social mores have been all turned upside down.
Okay.
So first of all, we go to church. I'm not very religious, but I did learn that thou shalt not kill.
Right.
That should be something that I would strive to. So for me to go into the military and say I want to go kill people, something's wrong. I mean, something's already wrong. And then the next is just the old golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Mm-hmm. Those type of mores have been lost. So until we get the whole society to change back to being human again, that we're basically up the creek.
God.
We're again, I want to go back to the whole how we do our resources, how we treat the earth that gives us life. We continually support a lifestyle that destroys the earth.
Wow.
So that behavior then spills out into our youth, where they're aggressive against one another. We're very aggressive against the planet.
That's true.
The way in which we produce resources.
Mm.
So we, pollute the water, and they see that sort of thing. We can see people extracting oil out and, pollute the whole Gulf of Mexico. Totally polluted.
Well, also, when you look at our adolescents, I mean, we've got to look at normal adolescent behavior,
right.
Realizing they're developing individuals.
Yeah.
They're not fully all grown yet, all right?
Right.
So essentially, the last part of the brain that develops in an adolescent brain is what not to do. The frontal lobes, the stop sign, is not there. So essentially, when dealing with an adolescent, you've got to understand that they don't see things the way adults do. And the way full-grown adults do. As my mother told me, I cannot put my 60-year-old brain into your 16-year-old head. It just won't fit. It just won't fit. And at the same time, me in my 40s now, I wouldn't want it to think like a 47-year-old at the age of 14.
Right.
I mean, that would be wrong. You know what I mean? There are things you would have just missed in life if I always was of this age and the concrete had started to settle so quickly.
Right.
There's not a room for growth and exploration. So you've got to understand that when dealing with policing, if that person is naturally impulsive, you expect, well, I'm leading you this way, and so that's the way you're going to go. Realizing that when the frontal lobes are not developed, you may go that way or that way. Well, if you got your gun out and you so gung-ho about shooting somebody and making sure somebody understands and listens and follows your rules, that person's not thinking straight. They haven't thought through the idea that because I talked back or I yelled at you, that you would pull out your gun and shoot me.
Right.
That was not a part of their mental equation at all. So you've got to understand normal adolescent behavior, but then you also got to understand this police state, as we call it, or essentially the military mind state that's fallen into policing individuals.
Yes.
And that, is this person a threat? And they might be, all right? But you've got to understand where they are mentally with that threat. And
Okay.
Sometimes that's just kids popping off at the mouth.
Right.
But you shouldn't be popping off with shells either, because they're popping off at the mouth, because you've been taught somewhere in your training that you put down threats versus policing threats.
Well, that's different, and Lady Kanisha, I get your take on it. But like I said, growing up in the 70s, I was born I'm a 70 kid, but the police, I'm not saying they were perfect back then, but I don't recognize the police of my youth with the police of my adulthood life.
And also back then, people had guns.
Yeah.
So, the police are under a bigger threat because of gun ownership. Realizing that, this is another issue, all right, that we don't talk about. The policeman is most likely to be shot by a person who owns a gun in a domestic violence situation.
Okay.
So who's most likely to kill the police in America? Domestic violence situation, people own guns, white people. White people kill more police.
Right.
White adults kill more police than youth or black youth kill police. Because most black youths don't have guns.
Just facts.
It's just facts. That's the numbers. That's not what's on television, and that's not what's going to be on the news at 10 o'clock in a few hours.
Yeah, I never heard of that before.
But-
This is new.
Yeah, domestic white gun owners are the main people who kill policemen. And the
Wow.
problem with policemen is that they don't know, many of them don't know this. You know, so the problem becomes many police don't even know this, and they'll walk into situations unknowingly. Like the cop who got shot over here just a few months ago. We had like 2 or 3 cop deaths.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, come on, y'all. I mean, these people are good folk. You know, the policemen I know are good people, right? But he gets out of his car in a domestic violence situation. As he's opening the door, the man shoots him.
Wow.
He hasn't even gotten a chance to address the situation. That's where the cop is most likely to get shot, walking into a home where there's been a phone call and there are guns inside the home.
Wow.
And then, I just want to add that basically what you're looking at is aggression, and aggression now is accepted in society. We have it from, really, I hate to say that, but from the White House on down, we see aggression is a norm. It's okay for me to aggress against, I had a person assassinated,
Mhm.
and that's a huge level of aggression. I use, very deplorable language
Yes.
as a leader. It's very aggressive against, the mores of society. So when that's accepted, we have to really think about changing the structure of our society the way it is now. We can't
And
allow
social
that.
learning has been taken out of school. Decency. And it's a sad thing that we're starting to see nowadays.
Wow. Believe it or not, we are out of time, but
Again.
I want to do this real quick. Yeah, the time goes by so fast. We will continue this discussion on February the 4th. I'd have you all guys know on the SourceSeeker Hour. Real quick, we just got a minute. Kanisha, look, I done gave you enough. Did I say it right?
You said it
Lady
correctly.
Kanisha, wow, let's see, we're already friends. How can they contact you? Do you have a number for those that may need your help?
Yes, I could be reached at Oasis of Life Counseling at hotmail.com.
Okay, great. Oasis of Life Counseling at hotmail.com. Dr. V, how can they reach you?
Well, I'm on Black Twitter. You can look us up at Tour de Hood. Get out, get some exercise. It'll make you feel a lot better. tourdehood.org, our website.
All right. Dr. Higgins, how can they get in contact with you?
You can find me at NapoleonHigginsMD.com.
All right. Listen, we are going to continue this discussion. We thank you for being our guest, and we hope that you learned something on tonight. Once again, this is the Bishop, George Sanders. This is the SourceSeeker Hour. We look forward to seeing you on next week. Thanks a lot. We love you. Bye-bye.